Greetings! In this presentation, we will be taking a quick dive into the invention of speech synthesis. But before we begin, we will first define the topic we will be discussing. Speech synthesis, or sometimes called voice synthesis, is a technology for producing the human voice. And yes, speech synthesis is basically talking robots. Speech synthesis is a variety of uses including but not limited to assistive technology for the disabled, entertainment systems, automatic communications such as PA systems, music production, and many more. The invention of speech synthesis did not happen overnight. There were many scientists before who tried to copy how the human voice sounded like. In 1779, Christian Gottlieb Krasjenstein built an artificial models of the human vocal tract that produced 5 vocal sounds. This was significant as it helped biologists understand how the human voice sounded like. Long after, Homer Dudley from Bell Labs invented the vocoder in 1928, a device that is widely used in telecommunications and music today. The vocoder worked by receiving a sound wave through a microphone, then spitting out its most prominent frequencies. This was an excellent tool for telecoms with limited audio response, and many musicians were able to use it in a creative perspective. Then in 1961, John Larry Kelly Jr. and Louis Gerstmann programmed an IBM 704 to synthesize speech and made the device sing Daisy Bell. This became the footprint to the invention in 1968. There, Noriko Umeda of the Electrotechnical Laboratory of Japan invented the first text-to-speech engine. This invention was the most significant and its usage is still seen today. Although speech synthesis was an excellent invention, there are still advantages and disadvantages just like any other invention. Speech synthesizers became popular because it lessens the strain of having to constantly talk. It gives people with speaking impairments an opportunity to communicate. It also can be an interesting musical element. The versatility of speech synthesis gave these advantages, and these are what makes speech synthesis interesting and relevant. Disadvantages cannot be avoided though, and it is true that speech synthesis has its flaws. In some cases, some people may not understand what the speech synthesizer is saying. Many would say that the voice sounds too unnatural, making it harder to listen to. Another flaw is that the software would sometimes misinterpret words. Some words that can be hard to pronounce for real people can also be hard for the program itself. Languages with heavy intonation like French, Mandarin, Arab, etc. are hard for the program. And lastly, speech synthesizers lack emotion when talking. Emotional quality is important in communication, and without it, people would describe speech synthesis as off-putting, eerie, or creepy. But despite those disadvantages, many dedicated audio engineers, sound experts, and programmers are dedicated to improve the technology of speech synthesis. After all, the robot voices we hear today are much better than the first voices we were programmed in the 1960s. One thing we can learn from speech synthesis is that language is very intricate. The research and innovations with speech synthesis still goes on as new challenges with its tech. However, we can all agree that communication will always find a way. Today, speech synthesis is still used in modern technologies such as assistive engines like Google, Siri, Alexa, etc., automatic PA systems from train stations and malls to karaoke machines and bingo houses, modern pop music with the popularity of vocoders, text-to-speech engines, and Vocaloid. We can all hope that more improvements will arrive in the future.